Hey there everyone, welcome back to another Game Vault video. As always, I'm Captain Beefy with the Game Vault, and the culture war continues. We're going to talk about Dragon Quest creator Yuji Hoari's interview, which questioned forced gender ideology in Dragon Quest III HD 2D remake. Let's cue up the music and we'll get right to it. So it looks like this interview at the Tokyo Game Show questioning the forced gender ideology in Dragon Quest III HD 2D is being scrubbed from the internet. That's kind of interesting. Not the first time something like this has happened. I've seen a lot of stuff get scrubbed from the internet that just goes against the general, the general way things the government and everybody wants you to think and feel and believe in and all that kind of nonsense. It's very strange. Anyway, in an interview alongside Weekly Shonen Jump editor-in-chief Kazuhiko Torishima, Hoari was asked about the changes made to the character designs in Dragon Quest III, and specifically why more clothing was added to Jenna Sharp, the female hero in the game. As translated by Velut News, Hoari responded, "Yeah, there were various regulations in place. Apparently, it's not allowed to show too much skin." Look at these character models, guys. I mean, that's kind of funny. He added, I really don't understand that either. If there's too much exposure, the age rating goes up. It means we won't be able to sell it as an all-ages product. Which is right, It's just like that in movies, too. Like, if you show too much blood, too much nudity, too much gore, too much language, then it goes from a PG to a PG-13 to an R. And your audience shrinks, and you're well aware of that, as you're putting out your product. So, you kind of tailor your product to cater to the audience you want. You can cut out a few F words and get it back down to a PG-13, or, take out some of that extra blood or whatever. Anyway, when asked about complying with various countries' regulations, Torishima chimed in, "Under the name of compliance, it's like an absolute god, an evil disguised as good. There's not such thing as content that doesn't make everyone uncomfortable, because beauty and ugliness, good and evil, are different for everyone. There are a few things that absolutely must not be done. As long as you follow those, you're free to do the rest," he added. Next, he stated, "There's a religious concept from the West, especially in America, that influences their approach to sex education, right? Their approach to compliance is really narrow-minded. When selling manga in America, everything had to be categorized by age groups. For Shonen Jump manga, they couldn't be sold unless they were rated for ages 13 and up because there's a risk of lawsuits. The company also had to get insurance. Doing business with such a ridiculous country is really frustrating. Because of that, Japan gets negatively influenced." So yeah, apparently we're a pain in the ass over here, and I'm not surprised, man. I mean, we regulate everything over here. We regulate it, we tax it, we beat it to death, and we make it more expensive and harder to produce things, and it's so unnecessary. It really is. Now, I understand the need for governance and government and all that, because you can't just let everybody run wild like the Wild West. It won't work. But government has grown to be such this huge entity, especially the federal government here in the United States. And we end up with all these, we call them ABC, what do you call it? ABC groups, like the FBI, the CIA, the IRS, and all that are full of appointed, not elected individuals. And these guys create laws, and they create things, that regulations and stuff like that, the FAA, all these other things. And if you're not complying with them, recently this has changed, but because the Supreme Court did something about that finally, but unelected officials creating law, it's not the way this was supposed to work. This government is so bloated, fat. I'd love to see it audited to see where our money's really going, because they steal from us. Tax is theft, I'll tell you that right now. And you may think, oh, he's a bit of a lunatic and all that. Fine, whatever, I really don't care. Tax is theft. You don't reach into my pocket, steal out a portion of my money, and then decide what to do with it, okay? It doesn't work that way. Income tax is the most horrible thing in the world. We get taxed when we get paid. We get taxed when we buy something. We get taxed even more if we buy something like gas, whatever, blah, blah, blah. We buy a car. We're taxed on the money that we earn to buy the car. We're taxed on the car when we buy it. We're taxed on the fuel to put into it. We have to pay for a license to drive it, and that has taxes on top of it, as well as a car registration and insurance, just so we can drive this car on the road. It's absolutely ridiculous how all this stuff works. And I understand there's reasons for it. I get it, but it's gotten out of hand, and it's time to reel things back in a little bit. So I understand why these guys are talking about we're a real pain in the ass to deal with, because I can only imagine we need some major changes in this country. But anyway, Hori then addressed the removal of the choice to choose between male and female. In Dragon Quest, you used to be able to choose between a male and a female main character, but now you can't choose between a man and a woman anymore. We have to label them as Type 1 and Type 2, he added. I really wonder who's even complaining about this. Hey, what are you choosing? Your diabetes? I mean, come on, guys. I'll say this again. That seems minor, right? Type 1, Type 2, Type A, Type B, whatever, for a body type, as opposed to male and female. But it's that insidious way of creeping in under the radar and sneaking this ideology in. Okay? Type 1, Type 2. Next thing you know, you have pronouns that you can choose for your character, right? Or you can choose a Type 1 body, which is the male, and then a voice 6, which is a female voice. In some games, you can choose the male body, but give it a vagina, like in Baldur's Gate or Cyberpunk 2077 or anything like that. It's just this weird mix and match it's gotten beyond ridiculous, and it's so unnecessary, and it's this weird left-wing ideology, this DEI crap that's put in there to appease all these freaks that are out there. And I use that word, I know it's a mean word and all that, but, I'm sorry, man, but if you're cutting off your genitals, you're a freak, okay? If you think that I need to address you by certain pronouns, sometimes made up words that don't exist, that never have existed before you thought of them, and you think I'm going to use these words to address you, you're a freak. You have issues, you have mental problems, and you need help. You don't need me to comply, because I'm not going to. I don't care what. I mean, and I think in California you can get in trouble and go to jail for misgendering somebody. It's a good thing I don't live in California, because I'd be serving a life sentence for that shit by now. But yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous, this mental illness and how we coddle it and all that in this country. And look at how the rest of the world is starting to view us for this kind of stuff. Type 1 and Type 2. It's male or female, right? That's what it is. Are you a boy or are you a girl? It's one of the most basic, freaking fundamental things in life. You know it when you're in the womb, okay? You don't decide on it when you're a teenager, These parents that say, well, we're just going to let them be whatever they want to be. Those aren't parents, man. Those are irresponsible assholes that shouldn't have children. Moving on. As noted above, the interview was translated by Volute News, who also uploaded it to X. The user has since deleted the video and issued an apology. Volute News wrote, I would like to sincerely apologize for the incorrect English subtitles created for Mr. Kazuhiko Torishima's statement. In a scene where he mentioned Puritan, it was mistakenly translated as sex education. The error was due to my mishearing. I deeply apologize for any inconvenience caused to all parties involved. Not only was Volute News' a short clip of the video deleted, but the original upload of the interview to YouTube was privated. Furthermore, the apology from Volute News came in the wake of Yubo and Maserito Koso broadcasting station claiming that Volute News had mistranslated the video. The station stated via Google Translate, on the afternoon of September 30th, Japan time, Mr. Musk said regarding the controversy and related reports regarding the reposting of an overseas news site that had reproduced a video with English subtitles, mistranslated, of a streaming program in which some of our members appeared, a message and request from the performers to everyone. Anyway, ex-user Gamuki shared an alleged translation of the images. It states, regarding the live broadcast, the Fami live distribution from Makuhari Games Creator Special with Yubo and Masalito Koso broadcasting station, I'm going to call them MKK, which was held on Saturday, September 28th. Some of the performers' statements were misinterpreted on SNS. In addition, some of the performers' remarks were cut off and quoted as if they were expressing negative opinions about a particular idea or creed, and spread far from the true meaning of the remarks and the original content and message of the video continued. In addition, malicious videos and transcripts quoted above have been spread on YouTube channels and SNS accounts, and videos with incorrect English subtitles and articles using them have spread not only domestically but also abroad. It then specifically claimed that the word sex education was mistranslated and should have been Puritan. Everybody's so afraid of this small group of very loud assholes that are out there. This cancel culture group, this left-wing group of they, thems, and whatever else, all these outcasts from society who've decided to band together and try to force their beliefs on everybody else. The rest of us are tired of it. We really are. A return to normalcy would be great. You know, it's horrible. It's really horrible. Gaming's been ruined. Movies have been ruined. Television's been ruined. Everything's been ruined by this cancerous group of people. And, you know, it's not dead yet. But, man, it's dying. We're watching studios close down left and right. Ubisoft's now looking at knocking off another, 40% of their staff maybe? Holy cow, bro. All that? Why are we sacrificing so much on the altar of this left-wing ideology? You know, I said it a long time ago that the left is like a religion without a moral compass. You know, it's like, and that's the way these guys treat it. It's like some kind of weird religious thing, but there's no moral center to it, right? Everything else has a moral center, good, bad, whatever you feel about any type of religion, it does have a moral center to it. Islam, Christianity, Judaism, everything. Not this left-wing ideology. It's all over the place. It's like just scattershot, and it's insane. Anyway, next the station wrote, "We deeply regret the situation," yada, yada, yada. So, they're cutting this from the internet. And this is a bad thing, you know. And this is a problem with translating from one, and I'm gonna link so you can read this whole thing. But this is a problem with translation from one language to another, right? Can you trust what you read as being translated properly? You know, we can go on to X and we can find something that's written in a different language somewhere, and we can highlight it and it will translate it for us, right? And that's kind of awesome. But how much can you trust that? You know, is it accurate all the time? Is it not accurate? Algorithms can be messed with. Actual physical people, like, to have something like that happen, and then to have somebody who really speaks the language and English translate it, that's what I want to hear. I want to hear somebody that I trust. You know, not some clown, but somebody I trust. And who do I trust anymore? I don't trust anybody. It sucks. The world sucks right now. It really does, man. Anyway, we've got a big election coming up here in the United States in November. I urge each and every one of you to get out there and vote. This culture war is only one part of this whole problem. If you see what's going on out there in this country, you've watched it decline over the last 4 years under Joe Biden, and it's only going to get worse under Kamala Harris. We're going from one puppet to another. Donald Trump may not be your idea of a great man or a great president or anything like that, but under his watch, you were better off. I was better off. Everybody was better off in this country. We were making more money. The world was not at war like it is now. There was no war going on between Palestine and Israel. You know, Putin was not marching on the Ukraine. All this craziness wasn't going on. Gas prices were good. Food was affordable. Rent wasn't jumping up, and mortgage rates and all that left and right. And, you know, insane. We didn't have millions and millions of people pouring over our border and taking our resources from those who need it. You saw what happened with this recent hurricane that just hit up there in North Carolina, Tennessee, and all that. You saw the devastation up there. It was disgusting what happened to those poor people. My heart goes out to them. I live in the path of hurricanes every year here down in Florida. We're used to it, right? We have the infrastructure for it. But up there, I don't know what happened. I have never seen the mountains flood like that. I have never seen whole towns wiped out like that. That far inland. You would expect that on the coast of a small town due to a storm surge or something like that. Not inland like that. It was insane. And then we don't have the funds to help them. FEMA is giving people $750 if they can apply for it. There's no internet up there. People lost everything. They lost everything. And we're giving them $750, but we're sending hundreds of millions overseas to the Ukraine, hundreds of millions to Israel, and now Lebanon, $157 million to them because, we feel bad for Lebanese people. What about our people? America needs to think about itself first. I'm sorry, we need to stop doing what we're doing with this whole world, involving ourselves with everybody else. You take care of your own house before you help out your neighbor. That's the way it's got to be. Otherwise, your house is going to fall into disarray and crumble around you when the rest of your neighbors are only going to get stronger. And then what's going to happen? Who's going to help you out in the end? Nobody. Anyway, get out there and vote 2024. I'm Cat the Beefy with the Game Vote. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications. I will see you guys next time. Until then, peace.